shit. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby, 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 boo. Hey, bundle baby. We should make a baby. Just kidding. You want one of those? You will. Mm. Hey, Katie Boo. Yeah. I added the what have you, the King of Queens clip where Carrie follows Doug up the fire escape and whoops his ass. Doesn't she look like you with her hair up like that? How you've done, and she's got like the same like facial structure and even the, kind of the same body type, the same little titties and stuff, and like she's got the same torso and you as you, and you know, she just looks like you. She's this little plickety plack little thing. But like I said, in other episodes, because that series ran for 12, years, she kind of ballooned up. Not like ballooned up, but it's like shit, something happened. She got thicker. She put on, her face was puffier, her just everything. Her ass wasn't plickety plack. She just put on weight. She thickened up. She didn't really get like fat. She just like thickened up. But that's another thing that chicks are weird about. It's like if a guy gets fat, generally it's just around his gut area. And a little bit, in his face and neck and whatnot. But chicks, they put on weight all different ways. Some of them, get a round, apple shape. Some of them get more of a pear shape, where their stomach doesn't really get big, but their their hips, ass, and thighs do. So shit, because I've talked about, how chicks have so many different parts attached to their frame, and each part comes in different shapes and sizes. Like, does she have round titties, that sort of do their thing, or are they more do they kind of pop out, kind of, sometimes they're kind of shaped a little differently, kind of nipples and areolas and stuff, and just from head to toe, basically, what kind of face does she have, Does she have more of a round face or an elongated face, And that's true with guys too. And what kind of nose does she have? Lips is a big one, more so with chicks than guys. I mean, yeah, there's guys that have different, mouths too. But with chicks, it's like, does she have full voluptuous? Does she get lip injections and shit, or does she just kind of have, thin lips, whatever. Like you've got kind of this petite little mouth, you don't have like full voluptuous lips or anything, but they're not like thin or anything either. Your mouth is perfect. Okay, so that's just that. Yeah. And then move down to the titties. Again, regardless of what size they are, it's like the shape. How do they hang? Nipples and areolas, and then next would be the hips. Does she have, wide hips or narrow hips? Ass cheeks. Kind of ass cheeks, you know, are they round shaped, teardrop shaped, which is perfect? You know, are they pumpkin shaped? Are they watermelon shaped? Are they you know, like bowling balls? You know, does she have that kind of like ghetto booty? You know, or it's just ass crack? How high up does it go? How deep is it? You know, based on her ass cheeks. You know, you know, do they protrude out? You know, could you like set a glass on her ass while she was standing up, or you know, just all different kinds of ass cheeks. Again, where crease, that crease where ass meets thigh, does her ass cheeks just sort of disappear into her thigh, or do they kind of come down and curve in, you know, as Bob Ross would say? And what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of, on a knife, and we're just going to scrape in the shape of the ass cheek here. And maybe in our world, maybe she's got a teardrop shaped ass cheek. You know, everybody's got their own preferences and what they like. And it just sort of comes around and right underneath there. And just barely just drag the knife across. Sounds just like it, doesn't it? Yeah. And then we just blend it in. And of course, no ass cheek would be complete without its friend, the other ass cheek. So we'll just kind of just sort of scrape that in. And then we got the butt crack. Got the butt crack. Maybe she's got a big old butt crack that goes all the way up. There we go. Just scrape that right in there. But and do they come together, or do they kind of splay out at the bottom? You know, so if you're looking at her head on from behind, you know, are you looking at her thong pussy hammock or pussy? Or are you just looking at her ass cheeks that come together? You know, there's different configurations, you know. It's like just in that alone, you know, it's like, okay, you got two butt cheeks. Pretty simple, right? No. They come in different variations, you know. It's like there's 4 different options, you know. It's like if you're ordering a car from the dealership, you know, it's like, what would you like? You know, it's like, you know, like the engine, for example. You know, it's like, oh, this engine comes with a V6, but this one comes with, you know, this set of systems. This comes with this intake system. It's a little bit more sporty. This one is a little bit more fuel efficient, you know. And so anyway, and then moving down to the thighs, same thing. Does she have, you know, big old round, you know, ham hanks or whatever they're called, or longer and slender yet muscular, and you know, it's just whatever. And then feet, you know, a lot of guys have a feet fetish. The hands, you know, it's like generally, does she have longer fingers, you know, or kind of shorter, whatever. Or like your friend Fatty McFatfuck, for example, does she have pig hooves? You know. Anyway. And guys, it's pretty much, I mean, yeah, guys do come. I've said all this shit before. Good grief. Who fucking cares? But you know what I'm saying, you know. Oh, and of course the vagipus and all that, you know. Is it a, you know, tight, you know, petite, well put together, you know, hatchet wound, you know. You know, does she have the nice, you know, lip configuration going on, you know, and, you know, does her clitoris, you know, nestle, you know, neatly, you know, where it's supposed to, or does it protrude out farther all the time? Or when she's excited, does she, you know, does she basically get a little erection, or, you know, does it just sort of harden up, you know, and, you know, it's just like whatever, but, does it look like it threw up on itself, you know? Does she have meat hangers, you know, meat curtains, you know? What's the coloration, you know? And this, that, and the other. And same thing with dudes. Ball, shaft, head, curvature, girth, hardness, how he comes. Is he a dick sneezer? Is it clear? Is it cloudy? And there's factors that can contribute to that, you know. Diet, hydration, time since last ejaculation, and level of sexual excitement and anticipation. The thing is, if you anticipate too much, you know, you gotta time that shit. Otherwise, when it's time for the big performance, you know, you're ready to pop, you know, and then you get going, and it, you know, that usually doesn't happen. It might be a nice big load, you know, but it's like shit. But that's a guy thing. Chicks don't really have to deal with that. And they're different. They take longer to turn on. Oh, shit. And just the vagina itself, and that's why the clitoris is there. Because if the vagipuss was too sensitive, they'd pass out during child labor. Most of the nerves are down there in the front, so. Then there's the G-spot. So, you know, broads can be hacked, you know. But it's more difficult. As we're a guy, it's just like, woohoo, step one, step two, repeat. Yeah, baby, was it good for you? And, you know, there's demeanor and, you know, all that shit. You know, the mood and what type of fucking it is, you know. Is it lovey-lovey or fucky-fucky, or as I like to call it, assertive love-making? You know, and chicks dig that shit, you know what I mean? I mean, communicate with them first, you know. Don't just assume that they want to be pounded. I mean, if you're taking them from behind already, that in and of itself is like, okay, we fucking, you know. But do they necessarily want you to, you know, push their shoulders down on the bed so it's ass up, face down, and you're just, bam, just hammering them and slapping their ass, and, you know, you grab their hair and wrap it around your fist and, you know, and don't rip their hair out, you know, but just hard enough to rip a few hairs out, you know. You better make sure that they're down with that first. And I can almost guarantee you they are. So, but they don't want to be fucked like that all the time. You know? Sometimes they want that sweet love makings. And I don't know if I said this or not, but like with you, Katie Boo, seeing as you're a plickety-plack little thing, you know, in the mornings, you know, we'll have us, you know, a love making session, and I'll just have you get up on me. You know, that way it's lazy for the both of us. You know, I don't have to keep myself, you know, raised up with my elbows. Or like I said, you know, gently press your wrists up against the bed. You know, so it's just enough of, you know, but, you know, lazy fucking, but it's good for, you know, positioning and penetration and all that. And I'll just work my hips, you know, and you can get a lot of range of motion on the mattress. Just try it yourself when you're on your bed. Do that with your hips, you know, just back, you know, it's like you can get all the range of motion you need. So that's not good for G-spot workings, but, you know, have your legs together and then have them out, you know, in different positions like that. And it's just easy cheesy for you. We'll be face to face, you know, gentle, kissy, lovey. And we'll just have at it. And like I said, you know, the panty rubbings and, you know, thong fuckings, and either on the bench, you know, so you can really get into it and work the angles and whatnot, or just an easy, lazy, you know, morning, I'll get the towel, you know, just back and forth. And we're gonna have us a time, girl. I'm glad you're gonna be my wife. I'm glad you're gonna be in my life. So, let's see, Valentine's Day is this Saturday. Shit, today's Wednesday. Leave a comment below. Let's do this. Or Like I said, I'm the man. I'm supposed to take the initiative and take you by the hand and direct you where to go. It's a Green Day song. I don't remember. It's an old one. Time grabs you by the wrist and directs you where to go. I think it was a stupid one. I wasn't necessarily a Green Day fan. Are they still making music? I don't know. Whatever. But anyway. But I was noticing, your voice, it's kind of a little bit different. And mine's different from time to time too, It's like sometimes it's deeper, sometimes it's lighter because I have boogers in my face and whatnot. It depends on many factors, fucking winds blowing, temperature, shit like that. And I believe that that's because I have a lot of boogers in my face and they work their way back to my throat. And like I said, I got a Navage machine, but I think I want to just leave it, because I think it helps with catching germs and whatnot. And same thing with my nose hairs. I was going to get one of them home wax kits, and just, or just go down to Kleber and be like, I want 2 things. You say you do from top to bottom, right? You're all inclusive? Well, oh, by the way, I've got a hairy asshole. I don't. Is that even a thing? Yes, she do it too. Oh, man. But, Klee, Shalea, are you a Secret fan? Leave a comment below. Has that ever happened? Some broad walks in. Sweetie, I just can't reach down there. And my man, he's a human being, so he likes to eat that shit. Literally, Oh, humans, man, I don't understand them, Like I said, it's there. You work around it. Your dick's going to touch it. You're going to be in the vicinity of it, with your face, from time to time. And the thing is, it's the asshole, so it's a different kind of like skin. And, no matter how clean you get it, there's always kind of going to be that, underlying, you know what I mean? So I don't, it's just what it is. So, but, because that's its role in life, and like I said, it serves 2 functions, anyway, whatever, it's there, it's part of human anatomy, it's there, you deal with it, you work around it. You don't lick it, you don't stick your finger in it or your dick in it or anything like that. It's there. For all, during that particular time, it's a nuisance. Every other time, it serves a vital function. So, honestly, you do not embrace that shit. Human beings, man. It's where under any normal or other circumstances, it would be disgusting. But for some reason, when they're sexually excited, the game changes. And I do not understand that. I saw a bumper sticker several years ago that said butt stuff. And I thought, no. What that bumper sticker needs to say is butthole stuff. Okay? The butt is the cheek, the crack, and the crease where Asmi's thigh. The butthole, is what it does. So, honestly. Anyway. This isn't getting too intense for you, is it? This isn't like, you're not blushing right now? Okay. Good. But anyway, 19 and a half minutes in. Like that one chick that I mentioned the other day. Bunny Humper's doppelganger. She was like, I don't know if it was her place or she was at a petting zoo or something. Because like I said, I'm sure she's worth millions. So I'm sure she just wants pets as like animals, right? So, small pets, so sheep, goats, ponies, those miniature cows, shit like that. Just pets. Miniature farm animals. You know, what, you think she gets milk from those goats and makes cheese? I doubt it. She probably just feeds them and cleans up their shit. You know, at least chickens, you can get eggs. Now, chickens aren't exactly, they don't like to be pet. They're skittish. They'll walk up to you, you know, and they kind of give you that weird look like they don't trust you. You know, and they might go, but then if you, like, were to actually try and touch them, they run off. But you get eggs, you know, from them. They're egg laying machines. You can look it up on Google. That's what chickens do. They lay eggs. You know, and as far as, I'd be down with drinking goat milk. Cows, see, the thing, cows are these big, bulky, bovine beasts. You know, you have one as a friend. You know, she eats a lot, she farts a lot, she takes up space, you know, she stinks. You know, you're embarrassed to be seen in public with her, you know. I'm so fucking mean. Well, it's the truth. And I'm only mean because I'm a coward. I'm only projecting, right? Yeah, bullshit. People are mean because they're assholes. So, I guess just me picking on her makes me feel better about myself. I guess I just need to tear people down to build myself up. I guess that's it. People are mean. But, and she's a fucking redhead, and her face is wider than it is tall, and, you know, she's jolly, and it's like, what the fuck is up with that, you know? A person like that should hate themselves. I mean, they really should. It would be better for themselves and the society, because as my future bestie Cool Breeze would say, she's a visual assault on everyone's eyes, you know? And she insists on wearing those tight pants, and it's like, you fucking bitch, you know? What gives you the right? How dare you? How dare you? I came here to eat, and you wandered in with your big fucking round boyfriend or husband and his, you know, those aren't shorts. Those are his boxers. You actually let him leave the house in his boxers and a wife beater and boots, you know, both of them untied, and you wander into the Waffle House or the buffet. What gives you the right, woman, to go out in public like that? So, anyway, you're not still friends with her, are you? I notice she doesn't do very many audio presentations anymore, which is good. It would be good if she never left the house. So, God, seeing you two together next to each other, it was a calamity. It was just unreal. So, because you're plickety-plack, you know, you're like on the small, petite side of things, and she's on the boom, you know, blueberry with legs side of things. So, it ought to be illegal to be that hideous and grotesque, you know. But anyway, I guess nobody's ever told her she's a fat, grotesque ham beast. So she just goes through life, you know, being jolly and content. It's like, no. You should hate yourself a lot. So, anyway, am I being mean? I guess I'm just insecure. But, anyway, God. Reminds me of a line from Jeff Foxworthy, who I never really thought was very funny. I thought Ron White was pretty funny. He has a unique delivery system. And that's just kind of his personality. Larry the Cable Guy? No, not funny at all. He's like the equivalent of Adam Sandler back in his heyday. Adam Sandler has matured now, you know, so he's more funny. But that whole, you know, Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore days, I just, no. Missing me at that shit. Larry the Cable Guy, same thing. Nope. Jeff Foxworthy, he had his moments. But I liked Bill Engvall the best, probably. But I didn't really think, you know, the Blue Collar Comedy team was all that funny in general, just overall. But anyway, he was talking about something, you know, like, you ever see a woman who's so ugly, you know, blah, blah, you know, I don't even remember. That's not his nature. He didn't have a mean delivery system, but he was talking like, oh my God, hey, Larry, come look at this woman's back. You know, it's hairier than a gorilla. Oh my God, she's got kids. So she's got kids. Somebody had sex with that woman. Oh, it's just Aunt Betty. You know, oh shit. And he was talking about his family went out on vacation to Hawaii, and you know, his cousin Larry or whatever. You know, it's like about halfway through the hula, we noticed that Larry didn't have any drawers on. You know, and I talked about him later, and he said, I had a hole in my underwear, so I didn't want to embarrass myself. And it's like, gee, you really thought this through, you know. And they had some funny moments, but overall, if you've ever mowed your grass and found a car, you might just be a redneck. A lot of that shit applies to, you know, my family. Because my dad came from the trailer park. My mom came from the farm. Yeah, my dad came from the trailer park in Wyoming. My mom came from the farm in Wisconsin. I was born in Wyoming, but, you know, moved to Colorado. I do have redneck tendencies, you know, just the way I talk and how I do things. And like, even when I was a kid in middle school, you know, I broke my button, you know, on my pants, you know, so I took some headphone wires and cut it and just tied it together and, you know, kept wearing my pants. Just stupid shit. I do naturally talk like that, you know, but I mean, I've gotten a lot of words from that, you know, like used to, could, and yum to, and, you know, but I do just kind of naturally talk like that. One guy did actually say, he said, where are you from? You have an accent. I said, well, I'm from Wyoming, and I live in, you know, moved to Colorado when I was you know, and I just say things like that, you know. But no, I don't have an official culture. I'm not an Okie from Oklahoma. I'm not a Texan or from Louisiana or anything like that. But that's funny, you know, America, they have different accents, you know, like New York and Boston. You know, they're similar but different, you know, and like Jersey, you know. Anyway, New York, Boston is a little bit more, you know, oh, hey, you want a Boston cream pie, man, versus New York, you know, so I'll take a slice of pizza and some chicken wings, you know, it's just a little bit different. And then Jersey, it's, you know, it's got a little bit more, it's a little bit more crisp. So, but, oh, so that's what I'm saying. Oh, fuck, I'm up here on time. Your voice is kind of a little bit, you know, in the one video, it's like you could maintain it being softer, and now it's like when you try, you can whisper fine, but when you try and kind of get your voice going into it, it's like it stops, it catches, and then it cracks, and then boom, and then it's back on, you know, your vocal cords are making sound. So I think, you know, I don't know if it's because of age, and or did you take up like drinking or smoking or something? You know, I don't know, because that is something that I've noticed about you that I don't like, is you sound more nasally. You know, it used to be you just had this plickety-plack, soft little voice. Can you see this? Okay, you did have problems seeing that. I don't think there's anything wrong with your eyes. I just think you need to think about getting some glasses. Okay, I'm going to check your subclinic membrane. Okay, looks good. Thromb of pupil. Green lampshade. Cloudy heavens. You know, and now you're like, okay, just put your head in mine and I'm gonna rotate. You know, and it's like something happened. So, You know, maybe you should consider about maybe punching yourself in the throat, or at least the face. Maybe it'll jar something loose. If not, that's fine. I will accept you as is. I will gently kiss your neck where it meets your shoulder, and I will lick your face, chew on your hair, and kiss your nose. So, anyway, me and Katie will be fighting over that shit. No, that's my face to lick. So, I'll be like, you're just her dog. I'm her lover. She loves you, but she loves me differently. Step aside, hot dog. Cool dogs moving in.